Welcome everybody to the morning show here on Stock Market TV. Spencer, JC, Steve, and Alfonso with you on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And this is going to be programming note. This is going to be our last show of the week. We're definitely not doing a show on Friday. It is it's hot dog day in America. No show Friday. Tomorrow's a half day, so and JC will be out. People are doing things, so we're not going to do a show tomorrow as well. So this is our last show of the week. Let's do it right. We'll have Mary come on the show. We'll have Brian Lund come on the show. We'll have Kenny Glick come on the show. So let's do this. Are we ready? Is everybody good? Yes? Capiche? Chat? Onward? We have our buy orders ready to go? I hope so. Let's do this.
Oh, we back on the morning show.
What's going on?
Guess who's going back to the beach today? Guess who's going back to the beach?
You are. No, I mean, I know I'm not. So it must be you. It must be.
Yeah, you'll get there, Spencer. I stopped having my kids a few years ago, so they're growing up and they're easier to manage. But it's gonna be a shit show, man. We're going down to the beach with like 10 families. Lots of kids. There's gonna be like probably like 25, 30 kids. I'm not even exaggerating. Probably 20 to 30 kids. 25 is my over-under. I'll take the over probably. That's how many kids we're going to be with for the 4th of July this weekend.
You're all going to be staying in one general vicinity?
Yeah, we're going down. We'll be down at the shore. General vicinity. Some people are staying in Ocean City, some in Avalon, some down in Wildwood Crest, some in Cape May. So there's a little bit all over the place, but we'll be getting together. All the neighbors. I live in a great neighborhood. You know, the neighborhood that I live in is kind of unique because, like, you know, the houses are a little bit bigger and the properties are a little bit bigger. So if you don't have any kids, there's no reason for you to be here, right? And then if your kids are already out of the house and gone, then your house is too big. So what ends up happening in this particular neighborhood is that they're all families, like, you know, the adults are like in their late 30s, early 40s, and the kids are between 1 and 10, you know, the whole neighborhood pretty much. And the people that are not in that category get upset that they don't get invited to the like local parties and that they don't get, you know, because they're just fish out of water. It's kind of, I didn't realize it when I moved in here, but this is what it turned into. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm going to the beach the week after Labor Day. So we'll see how that goes. But
the first time you take the kid to the beach, or you're leaving him back?
No, he's coming. Yeah, we're going for like a week. Like,
here's the way to do it: just throw him in the ocean.
Yeah,
say good luck, buddy.
That's right.
That's how to do it.
All right, what do we got here? State of the markets, and then we'll see where that gets us. We do have some interesting stocks that are on my movers list today, but we'll see. All right, let's state some markets.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got the Dow futures flat this morning, doing absolutely nothing. 44,820 flat this morning. S&P's also flat, down 5 handles, 62.43. NASDAQ is the one under a little bit of pressure, down close to 1/3% to the downside. 22,630 for the NASDAQ 100 futures, down 60 handles on the day. 30-year bond futures have been absolutely ripping. TLT getting up to that 200-day moving average. 30-year bonds coming off a little bit this morning, down close to 2/3%, just under 115 for 30-year bond futures. Crude oil up 1% on the day, 66 and change. Copper up 0.75%. Wow, copper, one of the big standouts from last quarter. 513 for copper, 513 for copper. Gold up 20 basis points, 33.56. Silver up almost 0.5%, 36.5, with the volatility index up this morning, still above 17. Over in funny money land, we got Bitcoin above 107,300, up $1,600 this morning. Wow, 107,300, up 1.5% today. For BTC, Ethereum also up 1.4%, 24.40 for the ETH. Solana, of course, 147, been hovering around that area for quite some time. Up about 1/3% this morning for the Solana. Total crypto market cap, Mr. Spencer Israel, 3.25 trillion. What stands out from this morning's futures?
I don't know if I have anything that stands out from this morning's futures. Does anything stand out to you? No, nothing really stands out to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you just said, I think makes the point. It's kind of dull there. There's not a lot happening. This would be categorized as a dull market. Would you call this a dull market? And the way I learned it, Spencer, I'll ask you, how you learned it, are you supposed to short dull markets or are you supposed to not short them? How does that work?
I would say it's a dull morning. I wouldn't call it a quote unquote dull market right now. But no, when markets are quote unquote boring, you generally just kind of close your eyes and keep your eyes straight ahead and keep your eye on the prize and don't get cute, right? Just
is that how to do it?
Yeah, don't get cute, right? Just kind of stare straight ahead and keep doing what you're doing. Don't short. Don't get too active. Don't get too nimble. Just keep on keeping on. Right?
Well, I'm probably going to short. I'm probably going to be nimble. So I'm taking the opposite of your advice there, Spencer. I'm going to be nimble. I'm looking for some short exposure as well. Sorry.
You can look. You can look. It's a free country. You're free to look whenever you want. But sometimes it's easier said than done.
Can I just tell you, I fucking love America, man. Fucking love America. I was talking about, and then I have a fun fact for you. I was talking about America in my note this morning, talking about different exchanges. I've been very fortunate over the years. Shout out Steve Strazza, also has been fortunate to do a little traveling in his day, visit some various exchanges around the world. Sean and I were escorted out of the Tokyo Stock Exchange, for example. The Philippine Stock Exchange has a 7-Eleven next to it. And if you go through the 7-Eleven, there's a speakeasy behind it. So that's cool. Shout out Manila. Then you got the Bombay Stock Exchange over in Mumbai. They have a replica of the big bull that we have down in Broadway, down in New York City. So there's great stuff, great exchanges around the world. But I got to tell you, the New York Stock Exchange is the best one, and the NASDAQ is the second best one. So shout out America.
You weren't saying the nicest things about Lady Liberty the other day. I watched you guys.
Who's you guys? And what was I saying?
You specifically.
Me? What did I say?
Made some comments about the 4th of July, which is the day that we're supposed to celebrate America.
What did I say?
I don't know. Go back and listen.
I told Louis that it's not Thanksgiving, that we don't eat turkey.
Shit about Independence Day.
No, I did not talk shit about Independence Day. I say the rest of the world doesn't care.
Who cares what the rest of the world cares about?
As investors, I do.
All right. I thought it was an interesting take.
It's an interesting
I love
take.
America.
It's an interesting take that I'm here to tell you that the rest of the world doesn't give a shit that we set off explosives on the 4th of July. That's a fact. Really? Why would they care? I wouldn't care. Like if I were German or if I were Malaysian, why would I give a shit that Americans set off explosives and eat too many hot dogs on the 4th of July? Why would that be my problem?
And if you live in Florida, you can actually set off real fireworks, none of that girly shit they have up in your guys' states.
No, Pennsylvania is one of those.
Dude, Pennsylvania is where I used to go to have to get my fireworks.
As soon as you cross Jersey into PA, you have all the fireworks stores.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. We do. Pennsylvania has some Florida man shit going on over here too.
That's funny. Yeah. All right, good. I'm glad to. Are you going to set off fireworks though? Kids are too young.
For me personally, the risk versus reward profile of setting off explosives is not in my favor. And if you know me well, you know that that I am a big fan of having the risk versus reward profile skewed in my favor. That's how I like it. So no explosives for me. I don't use chainsaws, for example. Like that's not going to end well.
I think that's a great general rule to live by. I'm not going to do activities with high risk profiles. The one Jason,
like I'm not going to space, for example. Like if this was 15, 20 years ago, I'd probably go to space if they let me, but like these days, like technically could I get some cash together and go to space? I could probably do it, but I'm not going to go to space, right? I have 3 kids. Like I don't need to be going to outer space. We'll send Riley, like for example.
Remember when that Giants player, Jason Pierre-Paul, blew his finger off?
Yes. Yes. So he's a Florida man. He went to
it's USF
University
or
of South Florida, right?
CF or SF, yeah.
Yep. Florida. See what happens with Florida man? I'm telling you.
So I was up in the middle of the night. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I'll turn on like a really like junky like murder mystery documentary, those kinds of things. And I'm watching it. And it's about New Orleans, murder on Bourbon Street. So I'm like, ooh, interesting. Sounds spicy. The whole thing is set at one of those bars we went to. A murder at one of those weird bars.
Which bar?
The Dungeon.
What city?
It's on Bourbon Street.
Oh,
it's
New
the
Orleans.
one we told you about that's like hidden. The hidden, really tight, like goth bar. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay,
It's
guys. I want to talk about a couple fun facts. Slide 2, please. I don't know if you know this, but this was the fastest volatility collapse in the history of the VIX.
Ooh.
How about that? Do we care?
It wasn't. Yeah, it was a hot V, man.
Yeah. Steve Strazza nailing that V bottom. Nailed it.
Deep V.
But with that V bottom comes a massive volatility collapse, right?
Yeah.
They go hand in hand. So hold on. So I got a couple more. So here, throw slide 3. This is Honeywell.
What a ramp. What a ramp the past few days in this stock.
Is this not a market bellwether, Strazza?
Yeah, but it's getting that breakout momentum, right at the right time and place. So love to see it. Industrials are so on trend right now.
So Honeywell added back into the Dow during COVID in August of 2020. Honeywell, one of the replacements there for Raytheon, Exxon. They kicked out Exxon, Pfizer, and Raytheon, and they added Amgen, Honeywell, and Salesforce. But if my calculations are correct, they booted out Honeywell. When did they boot out Honeywell? They booted them out.
It was COVID, I thought.
No. They added them during COVID.
Oh. Raytheon?
In 2008, they kicked out Honeywell.
Who'd they put in?
In 2008, they added Chevron and Bank of America. Of course, Bank of America in February of 2008. Good, nice job, guys.
Bank of America didn't really last. Short stint for Bank of America in the Dow.
Well, they didn't take out Bank of America until years later. They took out Bank of America. They took out Bank of America in 2013. Crisis. It was there for 5 years, 5.5 years.
It's not very long.
Okay, so Honeywell taken out in 2008, added back in 2020. That's what it was. I mean, for me, Dow component or not, Honeywell's a bellwether for the industrial space, right?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
It's just a low vol stock,
It's an industrial. Weren't you the one schooling me yesterday about how you could trade staples because you're getting the juice in the derivatives market?
Yeah,
so
you got to do with options. You got to do with
I believe
options.
your nomenclature was that the options market neutralizes the low volatility.
Yeah, you're showing me a chart of common stock. But yes, one of the beautiful things about options is that they basically even the playing field when it comes to beta. They neutralize the beta. In other words, it's not uncommon for you to buy some sort of, quantum computing or space and exploration stock. It moves 30% in your direction, but your calls don't pay you because it was priced to move 30%. Then you could buy calls in something like Johnson & Johnson or Pepsi or Pfizer, stocks that are not priced, do not have options that are priced for the stock to move. And God forbid you do get an outsized move. I was talking about it because of the big moves that you saw in Staples names yesterday. If you go look at the candlesticks and stuff like Pepsi, you got these outsized moves. So if you are playing those boring ass low volatility stocks through the options market, you can actually book some nice wins, book some nice profits.
During April, during that March-April selling, you did really well in one of the staples. Was it Altria? Which one did you make money on?
We did
Philip Morris
last year. We did. We had a decent trade in Procter and Gamble.
Procter and Gamble,
in May. Celsius just paid big, but that's a growthy staple.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that really a consumer staple? Probably not.
The Dollar Trees I consider staples, but that was a special situation. Somebody reached out to me yesterday. We should talk about this. A colleague of ours from a professional organization that some of us are members of, some of us will probably be future honorary members of. And they said, hey, this person stole your indicator. And I said, whoa. Sent me like they were tattling on somebody. I said, what do you mean? Stole my ad? I don't own this. Nothing I do is complicated at all. None of this is rocket science. My indicator isn't the secret sauce. So actually the person who was getting tattled on reached out to me, and I love this person. I think he's great. Mentored him a bit over the past few years. And he actually reached out to me and said, can I use your indicator? And I told him, it's not my indicator. This is basically what it is. You can build it. So now he's tweeting it out, and I'm getting messages, these people are stealing.
Which indicator was
the volatility squeeze indicator. So let me say something. First of all,
if anything, we're stealing it from John Bollinger.
First of all, right. It's not a complicated indicator. Sure, we'll use our own periods and add a little spice to it, but you could do this at home. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. That was a great quote. The first part of it, the second part of the quote's not the nicest. Oscar Wilde was a strange guy. The indicator isn't what's going to separate you or create an edge, right? The indicator helps. That's great. But it's about just feeling the market, knowing when to press, knowing when to come off. It's stuff that builds over, the experience of years and years and years of doing this. You can't just say, I have his indicator now. I can do what he does. That's great. Everybody could have my indicator. If you want to DM me, I'll give you my indicator. It's not going to change your life. It's not the secret sauce. Also, I love it when people make charts that look like mine or make indicators that look like ours or try to replicate the things that we do. I think it's truly an honor. I think it's awesome. Like when you see ASC style charts in the Twitter sphere, don't you smile inside? Aren't you like, ooh, nice? That doesn't make me angry. It makes me happy. I love to see
It's funny.
that.
How many times I see tweets? It's like, why are everybody's charts looking like JC's these days?
That's awesome. Like if we had a problem with that, we would have no time on our hands.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is about people making their charts like ours. I have always been a big fan of cleanliness and kind of like keeping charts simple. In the old days, people didn't do that. They just had like every indicator in the world, whether that indicator was relevant to the conversation or not, they were just included. So I think what people have learned, and the reason why all these people's charts look like mine, is because they're just cleaning them up. So I think it's more of a trend of people publishing cleaner charts versus people trying to copy me. I think maybe I was just early in the cycle of having clean charts. I think that's a big part of it.
When we hire new interns or junior analysts now, the first lesson that they get is on chart aesthetics, because I think that's something that we do better than anybody, and it's important and it goes overlooked. If you put a million lines on your charts and a bunch of squigglies and 18 indicators and then tweet it, you totally lose the message. People don't even know where their eyes should look.
Right. Why are you going to have your stochastics indicator if you're not even talking about it? It's not relevant to the point that you're making.
So shout out to us. People love copying us, and just public announcement, we love being copied.
Yeah, shout to us. I'm getting shout outs on my shirt.
Yeah, it's good, dude. yeah, I get it.
It's a good one, right?
Yeah, biggie.
It's a good one. Phil Perlman said I need to step up my shirt game because Perlman knows I got quite the collection. He's like, dude, you have like 1,000 hats. You need to start wearing more hats. And he's
People
like,
love hats.
Strazza. He's like, Strazza looked good on the show the other day. I'm like, Strazza?
No, you got to wear the gear.
No, I know. Perlman was breaking my balls. He's like, dude, you guys have like great shirts and you never wear them. He was right. So here I am with my notorious BTC shirt on. If you see Perlman, who's listening? Huh? Come on.
No, that's great. I love fun shirts. I'm all for it. I think the one
we have so many fun shirts. I was wearing the Stranger Things Trend is Your Friend yesterday. People got a kick out of that. I wore it to the bank. I was at a bank yesterday.
The one Michael Batnick, I think, is better at it than anybody. He has the greatest shirt game. I've really been inspired, by the way that he appears on his shows. A lot of fun shirts.
I'm sure.
Him and JB wears hats all the time, and they do the fun names. Like we could do the fun names. They do the fun names. Like there's somebody different every time.
I think it would be hilarious if Michael Batnick's wife heard how many compliments on his wardrobe he gets. She would shake her head most likely.
She wouldn't believe it. Yeah,
she wouldn't believe it. That's right.
No.
That's right.
No.
All right, we got a one Kenny Glick, the grandfather of day trading. Nobody in this world has been day trading longer than a one Kenny Glick Shout out Hit the Bid. The reason we know for a fact that nobody has been day trading longer than Kenny Glick was because Kenny Glick was there. He doesn't look old, but he is. Kenny Glick was there when they started day trading. So day trading didn't exist before Kenny Glick. That's how we know that nobody's been doing it longer. See what
he invented it.
He not so much, but he was there. All right, let's go. Bring him out.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my club, they tug it. Putting up numbers, 99 problems, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Kenny Glick?
I did invent day trading, but before we get started, let's go. Speaking of 1990, so today's stock of the day is Mogo, and we're already dancing. We're already having a party. Take a look at this bad boy. Let's get right into it. Let me show you the chart. MOGO. The word go is in the stock. I'm involved. Talking about 1998 trading right there. So if you had a cool ticker and you had a run and you ran a good commercial, you bought the stock. JC, were you around during the Siberian outpost days where they were shooting gerbils through a cannon into a bullseye?
I don't know if I am disappointed that I'm not sure what you're talking about, or if I'm thrilled that I was not there. I'm not quite sure.
Because that was what it took. So if you ran a good commercial, you bought the stock and the thing would go up 200%. Do you remember K-Tel Records? You weren't even born back in the 70s, but
nope. See, guys,
Records,
I told you Kenny was older than he looks.
Yeah, K-Tel Records was a company they would run infomercials, and they were the original yacht rock creators. People don't realize that, but they would take people's collections and make their own collection and sell that collection, and they would make these really funny commercials. And the company announced they were bringing their catalog online, and K-Tel Records just rose from the ashes. It was a 20-cent stock. It went to $20, and then within 2 weeks later, they were doing a 10-for-1 split at 200, and it still went back to $50. It was the greatest time to be a trader. Every day was a faux show, bro, and you just bought stocks because the tickers were fun and the commercials were great. There was a company called Amen.com. They sold Bibles. And nobody cared, but until they went to amen.com and they were selling Bibles online.
You know what I just learned? I just learned, Kenny? I learned that the Bible is the most shoplifted book of all time.
Really?
The Bible is the most shoplifted book in history, but I think that's more of a function of the supply of Bibles out there, kind of like Cy Young had the most losses ever, like one of those kind of things.
That's a great point about Cy Young. But yes, but where are they stealing them just from the hotels? Because
I think it's more of a denominator fallacy. There's just so many Bibles that like what would be the second most shoplifted book, right? Like I couldn't even tell you. Like, of course it's the Bible.
I would think Jonathan Livingston Seagull. The
Bible's dope too. Lots of stories in there.
I heard this one where a god killed everybody on earth except for one dude on a boat.
Dude, all kinds of stories. Shout out to the Bible.
Sick stuff. But listen, this Mogo, this is day trading 101 right here. There has been a Momo name every day, and sometimes 3 or 4, like this Tom Lee stock over the last couple of days. Today it's Mogo, and it's as silly as it sounds. As long as the symbol is good and there's volume, you're gonna get yourself a runner. In this market right now, people are just. And this moment in time, speaking of how old I am, back in 98, one of the first lessons I learned from my mentor was the dash for trash, because the guy that I worked with, he was a small cap trader. He was a broker in the 60s and the 70s. And he started trading these just garbage stocks that really wouldn't move. And then, February 2000, he was talking about how these stocks were going up in hundreds of percent, that the market was going to crash because of the dash for trash. We've been dashing for trash, it seems, for like the last 2 years. And there's these weird Momo names at the beginning of the day. They just keep coming and coming and coming, yet the market keeps going up and up and up. So that whole idea of the dash for trash, it seems to be not working, almost like selling in May and going away. Because if you miss May this year, you miss the whole year.
Yeah.
So a lot of these sayings, as old and cliche as they are, they tend to still have some, meaning. But
For me, when it comes to seasonality, it's more so when the market ignores seasonal tendencies. So the fact that, we've been in a weak period historically and the market has done so well in that environment, I think speaks volumes. These 2 weeks now, first 2 weeks of July, best, if you divide the entire year into months and then split every month in half, now you got 24 half months, if you will, right? So basically 24 2-week periods or so. Of those 24 2-week periods, the best performer historically is the one that we're in right now.
yeah, I heard yesterday was notorious, like one of the biggest bullish days, according to Hirsch. I read it.
Yeah, it's very consistent. I think like it's only been down like 3 times, like ever, or something like that.
Right. What was unique about the Qs? They actually took a break yesterday, but again, I'm like deathly afraid to short right now, which is usually, Lin Zahn was saying. I made this video about how now we could take the keyboard, smash the keyboard over your face, bull market test. If you could just break some keys over your head, pick up some random keys, press the buy button, and that stock will go up. You're in an irrational, exuberant market, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And this go-go is going. We might be going to $5. Woo! Holy crap, it's going to go to $4. Hang on, guys. If you guys are in this name, please sell right here, 96, 97, 98, as you get to the whole number. Now you put 375. Don't let it go 375, 350 on the way down. $4 on the nose right there, kids. See how the market's rigged? I love it.
Kenny, give us one more. What's on the move this morning?
I've got to stick with Tom Lee, BMNR. All right.
BMNR.
BMNR. That one was the Tom Lee name that just arose from the dead. It went to $78 yesterday. And you were able to get a short off. It cost you only $75 for 1,000. So the stock is still in play. You got the volumes dried up a little bit, but you got to watch this one. But I think because there is a borrow that it's not going to go down. If it was extremely hard to borrow, it would probably go down. But you had a blow off top yesterday, and the things found some buyers this morning. I got to watch this thing above $56. You're probably going to be off to the races. But when it does go back below yesterday's low, you could be headed right back to $20. So that's the kind of stock it is. But, nice start to the day with this go-go. And I'm loving the other names. We spoke about this, you guys. And again, speaking about being old, the Alcoas, the Cliff, the Rig, the Oxy, the Schlumberger, those have been quietly moving up. So keep an eye on those. And of course, the solar after that attack. Take a look at Sedge, SEDG. This stock does not want to die. And when they don't want to die, they're generally buys. So a lot of stuff going on. And remember, the market, the money doesn't come out of the market. It just finds somewhere else to go. And right now, some energy and oil names, like I said, we're
dude. And the SEDG, the fact that it doesn't want to die. I want to, if you're listening out there, I want to reiterate what Kenny just said. When something you think it'd be going down, you think it'd be going down, and it's not. I want to double click there on what he just said. Like that there's something powerful about those words that he just said. Like it just doesn't want to go down.
That's why I try to rhyme
it. Go down. Which way do you think it's going to go?
Right. Doesn't want to die, must be a buy. So that's said. I mean,
doesn't want to die, must be a buy. I like that.
It was an incredible. That stock was finally coming out of the Andy Dufresne, and the next night, here. I mean, let me show it to you. The next night was when you had the fake news, which I'm assuming it was fake news now because. Where'd the news go? Just like the yen carry trade. What happened? What happened to the news? So this thing was about to break out, right? Right, break out of this 1 year.
What's that noise? Is that you?
That's Captain Kirk calling me. Yeah. Where is that? Oh, I don't know. It's some spammer from China. It's the same guy calls me every morning, wants to sell me something. Look at this. Breaks out, and then the next day you had that awful news, and it came right back to the original breakout price, as if to say, "Here, have it again." And so far, so good. And now, if this thing comes back now and comes out of this range, I'm still holding on to the idea that it's going to $32. So good luck, my friends. I love. It's hard not to love this market right now. Money's not coming out. It's just finding new places to go.
Love it,
Kenny. We'll see you at noon, right?
Yes.
Noon right here on the channel. The long and short of it.
I'm watch Kenny at noon. He's the man. Kenny Glick. Never a dull moment there with the one Kenny Glick, huh?
No. That's that. I'm kind of surprised he didn't mention a stock like Centene today, which is down to like 40%. Or any, I mean, maybe it's too big for him. It's too big, not junky enough for Kenny. I don't know. Let's see. All right, we got Brian Lund in the house. Should we bring him out?
Bring him out. Bring him out.
All right.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Oh, Mr. BC.
Brian. Hey, buddy.
How we doing? Hey, new look, Steve. You got new digs there. You got that kind of 70s porn star look going. I love it.
It's you like that? You're talking about my shirt.
Your beard, man.
Oh, my beard. Yeah, I got to find, that's one of the things about moving to a new place. I'm worried about that as much as anything.
You got to find a barber?
Yeah, I really like my barber, but he's 6 hours away now.
Can we just reiterate that Brian just said that you look like a 70s porn star?
I'm taking the compliment. Yeah, I'm not arguing.
Right.
Thank you, Brian. Brian always has nice things to say.
That's right.
Compliment is one way to take that.
No, but the office isn't ready yet, so this will be my outdoor office for now.
No, I love the look, man. It looks great. Very tropical looking.
I just want to take a step back here. For those of you who don't know Brian Lund, I don't know if you've been stuck under a rock your whole life, but Brian Lund right here, my friends, OG. Do you get called that a lot, or is it just like our world that calls you an OG? Are you an OG in other things?
That's a good question. I'm an OG to my kids for sure. I feel like I'm just, people sometimes will call me a boomer, but I'm actually a Gen Xer. I'm on like just that tail end. And I feel the same way about OG FinTwit. I feel like I just caught the edge of it. I feel like there's people like, you and Josh, whatever, Brian, Shannon, been around longer. Well,
yeah, but not by much. Not by much.
I mean, I've been around longer, but not longer online. You guys were online before me. So, I guess I'm edge case OG.
No, you're OG in my book, and I make the rules around here. So
all right, I appreciate that, JC.
Anytime, Brian. Anytime.
What were you blogging on in the early days, Brian? Like, what platform were you primarily on?
So it's kind of an interesting story, or at least I think it is. So I sold a business that I had for 20 years in 2005 to trade full time. Right, I'd been trading. Like I'd sit at my desk and trade for years, but I started trading full time. And one of the things I realized very quickly is that there's a lot of times in the market when you shouldn't do anything, and I came from a very entrepreneurial attitude where you had to be doing stuff 24/7. And I found myself over trading. So one of the things I decided to do to kind of step back a little bit was just to start writing a blog. And it was just going to be like my own journal to myself about what I did that day. And I just threw it on WordPress. And I don't even know how, because I wasn't trying to get, there was no network effect back then. People just found it. And then after a couple years, I got a call out of the blue from a gentleman named Phil Perlman. I still don't know how he got my phone number to this day. And he's like, he's like, Bubba, I love your stuff, man. I want you to write for the Stock Twits blog network. And of course, JC was there, and Josh and James Altucher, all these big, names. And I was like, I don't belong on that. And of course, I said yes, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. Yeah. Phil just magically found you.
I swear,
That's what he would do. That's what Phil would do. He did that at Stock Twits, then he did it at Yahoo Finance, then he was in with the Brozarks. And now he's in the best financial community in all of finance here with us. So we're happy to have Phil Perlman. He's in the right place. There's nowhere else in the world that Phil should be other than here with us. Same with you, BC Lund. Happy to have you here. One of the things I like about Brian is that Brian's always bringing trade ideas. Brian doesn't give a fuck about the yen carry trade or the yield curve or this or that. He's coming in with names. He's coming in looking at things technically, give the people what they want. Brian is that guy. Well, by design or not, that's just who he is, and we love that. I do.
Then let's start right there, Brian. I've been thinking about you because some of these AI stocks are starting to work really well. Again, and I've been looking at the C3 AI, which is a name that you put me onto years ago now. It's coiled up, and it looks like the BBAI did before it broke out. It looks like SoundHound kind of does right now. Really perky in this little coil. Do you still like it?
So from a technical standpoint, it's been fairly disappointing. I mean, there's been small periods of time when it's worked. I've talked about the macro, I guess the story of the founder and why I believe he eventually is going to win. I've been building a position in it. It did have a pretty nice pop after the recent earnings. It's given most of that back. So it's kind of at the do or die spot right now, I think, at least, in the short term where it needs to get going. So I definitely, I have my finger in the water on that one, but it hasn't done what I had expected it to do. And you would think like, there's this, I'm sure you're seeing this with a lot of names out there right now. The market has had this massive run off the April lows. If your stock hasn't gone or hasn't moved during that time, you got to ask yourself why, right? And this is where we get those late stage. When I say late stage, I mean for just this run, those junky stocks. You and I talked about this, Steve. Those ones with the high short interest. Those things start going. So you have to wonder why hasn't AI gone, and that's something to be a little bit of a red flag.
I think that's an excellent point. Speaking of short interests, guys, rocket companies is a real business. In fact, they're like the industry leader in mortgages in the United States of America. They are, I guess it would be horizontally integrating, right? We're my business school kids. They're horizontally integrating through this housing bear market where they've bought, I think, Mr. Cooper's, which is specialty financing, mortgage servicing company. And they've also bought Redfin, which is like Zillow, which I think is an incredibly strategic acquisition. I like it a lot. The market's killing them for it. And their short interest is now 50% of the float. It's absolutely massive. And if you look at the base on this thing, the coil, the way that housing stocks are starting to perk up and work, home builders had their best day, one of their best days of the past few years, yesterday. I think RKT is on the top of the list of short squeeze candidates, ones that you want to get behind and look for a rip here. That's the kind of short squeeze that can last.
Here's the story on that stock, and a lot of people in the Lund Loop community have been on that. So what I've heard on that one for years is that it should be valued more based upon a data company, right? Because they have lots, I know it's mortgage, but they have lots of data. And they've always pushed to be valued that way because apparently their data is very valuable. And so if that's the case, if that switch ever happens, no pun intended, it's rocket to the moon. Now it could go.
Hey!
Thank you. I'll be here all week. It could go rocket to the moon without that, but that's the holy grail, I think. Now there's another name in that space that is a little bit of a dark horse. I've got a member in the Lund Loop community who feels like he's got a pulse on it. It's
UWMC.
called LDI. No, it's called LDI. And there's nothing special about it right now, but that's one that I've been told to watch in that space.
The Loan Depot. Yeah, it's interesting about the rocket companies' data because they're good with the younger folks. So when I got my first mortgage, 2013, the reason I went with Rocket back then, 12 years ago, they were the only one, and they advertised this way then, where you didn't have to go into an office, right? So young people obviously love that. My mortgage process was entirely online. I didn't leave my desk, did it all at work, and it was easy. And now I've never gone anywhere, and I probably won't. Like, they got me. They're linked to my Schwab account. Somehow there's some partnership there. So I see them, I see my loan when I log into my brokerage, and I don't see why I would go anywhere else. So that is some really valuable data.
So nobody has yet cracked the code on the home buying process. I bought my first house when I was 20, and that process is still very close to when I bought the house that I'm in now.
It's terrible.
There's this intransience about the real estate industry. Like, there's no way that an escrow should be 30 or 45 days. There's no way that funding for your mortgage should take more than 3 days. There's no reason title searches and all those things should take as long as they do.
You, man.
Doesn't the blockchain, the old blocking chain, doesn't that solve for this?
How many times do we have to tell you the traditional finance companies have to allow blockchain in? They have to say, yes, we'll give up our pole position to this new technology.
Well, we're seeing some interesting stuff out here now. I know that Florida is a big real estate state. Southern California, as soon as you're born, you're given a bottle and a MLS registry. So what we're seeing out here is we're seeing some really venerable
I
real
don't know
estate
why.
agent guys that I've known forever that are big producers are now doing this 1% flat fee service, right? Where they will
Okay.
just market and they're figuring out like, oh, everybody's on the same MLS. There's no discoverability. There's no marketing you have to do. We just need someone that can hold the buyer and the seller's hand and not
Right.
have to pay 3% or 3% on both sides. So we are seeing a little bit of change, but there's big entrenched interest, obviously, out here, the National Association of Realtors. But that is so ripe for disruption, and I'm just shocked it hasn't happened yet.
I agree. They passed some new law recently in Florida, which is like
Right.
if you start looking for a house just to rent, you have to like pick a real estate agent and then like stick with them. The rules that they have around real estate and the brokering of real estate, I think, are absolutely ridiculous.
So that's the way that's the way it's been out here in California. If a realtor shows you a house,
Yeah, I had no idea.
He's all of a sudden your realtor for like 90, like you can't do anything for 90 days or he gets the sale, or maybe 6 months. It's ridiculous.
So guys, I didn't know this, right? So I'm like cheating on my realtors and I don't even know it, that it's a thing. And they're all getting pissed off and yelling at me. It was a total mess. I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. What are you talking about? Why do I need you at all?
No, it's communism. It's unacceptable. Aren't there like 3 times as many realtors out there as homes for sale? Like, is that necessary?
I think, whenever somebody loses a job midlife, when someone doesn't know what they're going to do, at least out here, they just become a realtor, and they have a circle of friends who they say, hey, I'm a realtor now. And they'll just get enough leads and enough, hey, Joe's a realtor now. I went and got my real estate license maybe 15, 20 years ago because I was going to buy some properties. I had to go through the whole little thing. I sat in a real estate meeting. They have a Monday morning meeting with everybody in the office. And here's what they do. They hold up some data and they say, here's some great data you can give your sellers to show them why now is the time to sell. And then the guy says, here's some great data you can give your buyers to show them that now's the time to buy. They are such shills. They don't care about anything except the process. And that 6% is just scandalous that they still charge that. I mean, there's no difference between a $250,000 transaction and $1 million transaction in terms of work, but there is a massive difference in terms of commission. Am I out already, Spencer? My goodness.
No. I wanted to add my own real estate.
Spencer wants in on this
story.
New father, Spencer. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. No, there's a funny story in my family. When I was a kid, and you have a career day at school. Parents come in and talk about their jobs. And a girl in my class, her mom came in. She gave this whole presentation, and she led off with, "My job is one of the most important jobs you can have." And she went on and on about how important her job is. And then she said, "I'm a real estate agent." So I'm thinking, oh my God, this job must be so important because she said it's so important. So I went home that day and I told my parents, I want to be in real estate because it's so important. My parents just laughed at me. They just laughed. Okay, that's funny.
That's funny. My parents did the
same important job. It's the most important job you can have.
My dad did the same thing. He came into my class and said, "This is the most important job you can have, an MTV VJ." That's what he was. Oh.
Really?
Well, that job is important.
Dude, can we just talk about how these scumbags?
Nobody knows what MTV is. Everyone's watching like, what's
really?
MTV?
No, like
not.
It
was JJ Jackson. That was my dad. So.
They convinced people that buying a home was the American dream. Like they actually went out of their way to convince people that, and people out there were actually dumb enough to believe that, and that set off like this whole thing. And now you have all these government helping. Why do you think real estate's so expensive? Get the government the hell out of there. It's not the American dream. Rent. It's a lot easier.
If you look at the history of mortgages in the United States, so it used to be that you would have to put up some ridiculous amount of money, usually had like a 4-year period and then a big balloon payment. A lot of people couldn't afford their houses or buying a house. Then all of a sudden, this mortgage, this 30-year mortgage came in, and it's a double-edged sword because yes, it did get people into houses, but it also then locked them into this debt cycle for, 30 years. So it's very, like most things, it's very complicated.
Not to mention, have you seen the amortization schedule for these homes? You're paying double the asking price.
So
they don't tell you that part.
That's interest, baby.
Dude,
it's a tough one because I was fortunate in this place here to lock in a 2.625% mortgage rate. So like every now and then I think, well, I'm going to pay ahead? And I go, no, because that money is way more valuable in the market. But if you have a higher interest rate, obviously, you want to pay that down as much as possible, because those amortization tables are like watching a horror movie.
But notice how they don't tell you, oh, you're buying a house for $500,000, but technically it's going to cost you $1 million. They don't tell you that part. They give you the schedule, maybe, and then you have to do the math yourself. Now, those of us who understand how the world works, it's common sense to us. I remember telling my brother-in-law, I'm like, bro, you know what the amortization schedule? He had no idea.
Yeah. Well, now here people don't care about it because traditionally you are going to outgrow you're going to make more money, or at least it's a forced savings. It's not that way, obviously, in all places in the United States, but Southern California people just say, well, my real estate's going to go up eventually. So that's why they kind of can swallow.
And then
that
God forbid you add the opportunity costs of all of that, what you could have been in the stock market.
If people don't know about amortization tables, I guarantee you they don't know about opportunity cost, Jason.
Fair enough, BC. All right. Now, after all of that being said, just completely shitting on the entire industry, here's why we're buying it. Slide 2, please, sir.
Show me the XLRE. No.
You know, hey, there's a time and a place, right? You know, they're all criminal, all these people. They should all go to prison. Despite all of that, we are buying the stocks.
So I say this all the time. So when did the bear market stop? Was it October 23? October 22? When was it?
22.
June 22 was the internals low.
So in October 22, we had record inflation. Interest rates were going through the roof. We were going to drop off a cliff. And that's right when the housing stocks ripped. Nobody was looking at the housing stocks at that point. And so I feel it's a very similar corollary right now. Nobody's thinking about housing. But I'll tell you what, out here in California, we just had a massive, massive change. So, you know, California is very environmentally conscious. And we have a law that was passed in the 70s that made it mandatory that all new construction go through this very rigorous environmental review, blah, blah, blah. And it's caused a lot of friction in the building process. They just repealed that law because California is so go, go, go on needing to build more housing. So I think that's a massive shift. Environmentalists are losing their shit, but I mean, I think there's some macro wins behind the builders.
Hold on, let me get this straight. California environmentalists are losing their shit. I can't believe it.
Right? Hard to believe, right? They're always such rational people. You know?
Right. What color is their hair?
Colors, Jason.
Listen, if you have blue hair and people treat you like you're weird, like that's how they should treat you. They should treat you like you're weird. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You're blue hair. You have to be. There's a much higher likelihood that you are batshit crazy if you have blue hair versus if you have regular color hair.
Who has blue hair?
Crazy people.
Well, it only used to be old women with their hair. They'd have blue. They'd call them blue hairs. They would be very old women. Now, for some reason, young women that are a little more progressive tend to have blue, green, red, whatever the day of the week is.
Oh no!
Now I sound like a boomer. Now I don't sound like a.
Listen.
Wait. Back to housing.
Aren't you a boomer? No, you're not there yet.
It's where you're born. I'm born in 67,
right.
So 65 is the cutoff.
You don't grow into being a boomer. Like I'm saying, not officially from a marketing category. I'm talking about like age-wise.
So I'll tell you what, JC, I have noticed some troubling signs of boomerism in me recently. So first of all, I'm very interested in my garden. Okay.
Yeah. You also live in California, so
right?
To be fair.
Right. I have an abnormal interest in the barometric pressure on certain days, right? And I've been doing a lot of puttering around in my garage. So I don't know.
Dude, the first day I lived in California, they told me, listen, JC, any idiot could garden here. And they were right. This idiot gardened excellent. So that's a California thing. So that's not a boomer thing. I'll give you a pass on that one. The garage thing, though.
Yeah.
Are you watching like World War II documentaries?
Not yet. I'm not that far gone yet.
All right.
Dude, I got to tell you, I have a pomelo tree and a guava tree and a persimmons tree that are killing it this year.
Nice, good.
Really
They're killing it.
No fig?
Not a big fig, but we have Chinese apples, these little small apples.
Yeah.
And we have some plums. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
The guava tree is a monster. I mean, like we get so much guava from it that like I have to have my sister-in-law and everyone come over and get it. It's ridiculous.
Dude, you got to make Cubans with the guayaba is no joke. We got to get you some recipes out there.
Yeah.
Empanadas de guayaba, pastelitos de guayaba, all kinds of guayaba things.
Can you do the Haas avocados where you are?
Yeah, well, avocados are super plentiful out here. I don't have an avocado tree myself, but
you do have one.
I don't have one. The other thing we do have is we have a dragon fruit tree. Which
Nice, dude.
Cool.
Love dragon fruit.
My wife's a huge dragon fruit friend.
Dude, you got the red flesh. Have you had the red flesh dragon fruit?
Yes,
red flesh with a white inside. Right? Yeah.
They have them down here at all the farmers markets. They look so cool.
Dude, they're awesome. All right, back quickly.
Real quick. Let me tell you. The one time I was in Florida, because my wife loves fruit so much, she loves picking fruit. We went to some tour of like a place where you can actually pick fruit off of the tree.
Oh, that's cool.
It was fantastic. We got that star, that one that looks like a star, you know.
Star fruit.
Yeah. Star fruit.
Down here.
It looks like a
delicious.
Star. Yeah.
Tastes like a hard kiwi.
Yeah. That's right.
All right, so guys, Brian, do you think that situation that you described when all the housing stocks started ripping last time, are we setting up for something similar? Because I think if you look at the market, interest rate sensitive stocks, I mean, it's not just home builders. Look at regional banks yesterday.
Yeah.
Biotechs have been the only thing really working in healthcare. Look at what the most interest rate sensitive, longest duration equities are doing. Look at Kathy Wood. She's back on all the major networks talking about the new highs in the ARC funds. IPO stocks are working. This is rates are coming down kind of price action just in general across the board for me.
It seems
I look at the home builders and I say, come on, guys. I mean, they got to be next.
It seems like the one thing I would like to see kind of, that last part is I'd like to see IWM start moving up a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
To kind of confirm all that. But you're right. And that's not going to be the first mover. You're right. You're going to see, the banks, you're going to see the home builders. I mean, we're breaking a downtrend on XHB. Obviously, Toll had a nice move yesterday. So I think they're going to need to probably knock on that door a little bit before they fully break out, but, which gives people time.
They look like a bunch of failed tops for the builders.
They look like semis did before they ripped.
I think Zillow's another one. Zillow checks several boxes, right? Not just the housing box, but also the speculative growth box. And Brian, isn't that like a classic stage 2 new uptrend?
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, little Weinstein call out there.
Well, Weinstein via Brian Shannon, and stage 2 that's the stage, man. That's 6 to 24 months of rippage if you can get it. I mean, I thought we were going to do that in Okta, and then it just failed. But happens.
Yeah, Okta had the earnings pop, and then the failed breakout. Yeah. All right. What other groups are you looking at?
Well, I'll give you some names. So first, I'm going to give you some kind of, these are really not my wheelhouse, but I just been watching them. Platinum looks interesting, and Palladium looks interesting in that it looks like it, obviously it's still in a downtrend, but it looks like it's maybe having a double rounding bottom there. The problem is that it's so hard to buy these things because, I just went to like my local coin shop recently, like 30% over spot for Palladium and Platinum. There is a name called Stillwater, which has operations both in South Africa and here. That's interesting. I think it's the best play for both of those. So that's, let's see, SPSW.
Yeah, Sibanye, Stillwater.
And then in terms of other names.
Just real quick, you know how we know you're getting old? Because you go to the local coin shop. So that's also
100%.
I like a good pawn shop.
It's not a pawn shop. It's a local coin shop.
Well, a lot of them are both.
The pawn shops are shady places. Stay away from those places.
This is a pure coin shop. Also, I think Kava is interesting. So Kava ripped post earnings, and then it sold off. But I think it's possibly put in a double bottom here recently.
I live in the real world now. I was really excited yesterday. I saw my first Kava in the wild. I can't.
I went to one. I didn't go to one.
Kava.
We ordered from Kava. It was pretty good.
So I think Kava food sucks. I think you can get better Mediterranean food at the local Greek family restaurant, but I don't care, right? I don't care. I'm not there to eat their food. I'm there to make some money. So Kava is interesting. Toast is interesting. I think Toast looks good. TOST. I think Bros looks really interesting. So that is, it's right up where the high from the IPO. And if it could pull back for a couple weeks, that would be a pretty close to a cup and handle type look. They're putting Bros out. We're starting to see them pop up out here in SoCal. And then I think the other one that's interesting is that's it. That's all it's on my list.
So I'm with you with the platinum and palladium. We have a commodities guy, and we were lucky enough to be with him in New Orleans. I cornered Matt Warder and I said, Matt, I need to know all the platinum and palladium names. And one of them I just added to yesterday. Somebody just shouted out in the chat. You have to go to strange places to invest in these metals. Really funky OTC, thinly traded stocks, but it's IMPUY, and it's been working. So,
Yeah, most of them are South African companies.
Yes.
There, a lot of them are I think they're all ADRs, which, as we know from a previous episode, I don't like. So, but the thing with those is they're like aircraft carriers. If they get going in a certain direction, they're going to go slow, but they're going to go for a long time. So they're not trading vehicles, right?
Yep.
So,
totally.
and the other thing is I'm just keeping an eye on pot stocks, because when they rally, that's usually when the end of the current rally is and everything else.
I like that.
See what you did there.
I'm serious. They are a counter intuitive.
It's true.
You hear what he says?
Yeah.
As soon as it rallies, that's how you know it's the end of the current rally.
Well, that's like the part of the cycle where all brains leave and you just buy the worst shit ever, and you see pot stocks running. You like
100%.
Yeah, fuck,
if you see
over.
MSOS start trending, start selling. Right?
Do we put solar in there too, or they're on their own thing?
No, they're actually acting pretty well.
I bought Sedge calls yesterday, and I bought run calls yesterday. They're very expensive, but I mean the short interests here are just absolutely ridiculous. So you never know.
Hey, you guys going to be at Future Proof?
Probably be zeros. Yeah, man.
Awesome. We got like 2 months till Future Proof? I can't wait.
We got 2 months. You coming up to Toronto with us in just after that?
I think I'm going to. I'm going to.
Oh,
nice.
Brian, do you ski?
I skied when I was younger. I haven't for 30 years. I'm sure the minute I set foot on the slopes, I would break my ankle. So I probably will not be skiing.
Don't ski. We'll drink beers instead in the ski house. The
That's
lodge.
that's in February. It's called the Lodge.
We're not skiing in the Toronto.
I was going to say September. I don't think there's.
We're not skiing in Toronto in September.
People don't ski in Toronto.
In September.
They have a very tall building there. I've been to a really tall building there.
That's when you know you're a Floridian, right? When
Dude,
you think that,
seriously, he's like, he thinks anything north of Jacksonville, you could just ski at all
you go to
times.
Canada in June, like, hey, let's ski. Let's go ski.
Dude,
You can probably ski in
you're
North Florida
embarrassing
if you want
yourself.
to.
Brian Lund, ladies and gentlemen, editor of the Lund Loop, OG around here, fan favorite, Mr. Brian Lund.
Got the Lund Loop. Link is in the description. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks,
bro.
Brian.
All right.
Ding, 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 ding.
Brian
ding.
Lund, off the charts. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Love you guys. I'm heading to
Don't
the
leave
beach.
us. Yeah, you're gonna miss Mary's
to the beach.
recess.
Adios.
You're gonna miss Mary's recess.
Why does he do that? Like, what's the point of leaving the show 5 minutes before it's over?
He's gonna miss Mary's recess. And I
understand.
tried to warn him. Mary brought
I don't
shorts.
understand it.
Mary's here. Let's bring her out.
Mary.
Good morning. Gosh, try not to take it personally. I feel like JC dips every time.
He does. It's rude. I think it's rude, and you should say something to him.
It's 9:30. Market's open. I mean, I appreciate you being here, Steve, because I know you're wanting to make trades too. So
Yeah, I have no trades on. What do I care?
No,
Mary,
not Eddie.
Mary, what do you got for us?
So I've been kind of out of commission the last couple of weeks because I had a family vacation. So I'm kind of revisiting just the monthly charts and trying to get myself kind of reattuned to what's been happening in the market, because I was up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan with no cell service. Like, I had service at the hotel, but then it was SOS after that. So, I mean, the market could have crashed and I wouldn't have even known. So thanks for taking care of everything while I was gone. But the number one, my favorite monthly chart, and I talked about it right before I left, that I was watching, is SMH. So let's throw that one up. Back in the middle of June, Steve and I talked about this, and I was like, why are we not talking more about semis? It's, what an epic couple of months that semis have put in, and we were just starting to break out of this flag. And, I said, I know we've got the rest of the month still yet to close, and we'll see what happens. But month closed, we broke out of this flag. And to me, that is just super bullish, long term, super bullish. Maybe we get a correction. Maybe we get some consolidation because we've had a huge move since April. But I mean, for the overall market, semis breaking out and doing what they've done over the last couple of months screams risk on to me. So right before I left, I put on a trade in Micron because I was looking at the semi space. I brought that chart along, and I love this one. Again, monthly, just, longer term trade, but it's got this great base that completed. It had that first little failed breakout, and it came back and retested, and then has been going since. So I put this one on right before I left, and above 100. Granted, we're $20 above that now, so it's kind of left the station, but still, for a long-term play, I think this is a great looking chart because it's a huge base.
This is on the
big
stock.
of the base.
This is just buy the stock and look at it in 5 years situation.
Yeah.
Now that's what this pattern is.
Yep, exactly.
And you should, but it's just you gotta treat these things differently, Mary, based on the pattern that got you in. Right? I mean, we traded a bull flag in Micron a couple weeks back, and we were in and out, bing, bang, boom, in 2-3 weeks. That was because we were trading the bull flag in Micron. If you want to trade the massive .com bubble base in Micron, damn, I mean, I wish the company had warrants. Maybe buy some leaps if you love options, right? But you want to probably trade something like this through common stock. So
exactly.
Let the pattern dictate kind of how you make your moves in the market. What else
Precisely.
you got?
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
So you guys were actually just talking about this. So with the semis, you actually put out a great chart on Twitter last night, or actually, no, I think you wrote about it, semis versus home builders. And so it's kind of that bull market theme. If semis is not going to be the not a top pattern that we talked about for so long, is home builders going to be the same thing? And we were talking about this yesterday on Spaces as well. I think Sam mentioned, is this a need? Does the bull market need the home builders to be participating, or is it just a want? Because, they usually go hand in hand. So I am going to be digging into, after the day that a lot of home builders put in yesterday, I'm going to be digging into Rangefinder to see what kind of trades we have in the home builder space and start looking at some charts, because this caught my attention yesterday.
I'll do you one better. We have a report. We have a report. It will be published in the next 30 minutes. So everybody watch your emails. It's coming. We have about 10 housing long ideas, and at least 4 or 5 of them are home builders. The guys picked out the names. They came back to me. They came back with 6 names. There was one home builder. I said, come back to me when you got 5 home builders. Let's go. So yeah, we're making it rain out here with the housing stocks. I love it. And I think this chart, really what it is the semiconductors. These are both risk-on groups. They're both pro-cyclical groups. They're groups that really should always work in bull markets. And what did semiconductors do for us as people who are now out here interested in buying home builders? They just paved the path. They showed us the way. This is where home builders go, right? That's the runway. That's what that's going to look like for home builders soon, I think.
Yep, precisely. Well, I'm excited. I didn't realize I was going to queue you up just so easily like that.
Thank you.
No idea the report was coming. So
and you know what? It's better than that. It's better than that, Mary, because when we get onto these themes, we're always here early and we pound the table. And I just want to make sure that we put out the deep research that these themes deserve. We're doing all 3. Throw up the 3 Bs, Alfonso. We're just going for it. I think rates are coming down. It's over. You're going to get a cut at the next meeting. Powell is so ready. And you want to buy things that go up when bonds go up. So the 3 Bs are the banks, the biotechs, and the builders. I think you buy them all. You lean into these groups. There's a post on our blog right now that just really high level kind of explains why these 3 different subsectors tend to do well, because they're all very different groups, right? Banks, builders, and biotechs. But they all tend to do really, really well when rates are coming down. And I think that's where we're going. And I think these are your overweights for that environment. So
sorry, what was that?
We're doing deep dives on all 3.
Awesome. So kind of along with that theme then, you guys were mentioning materials yesterday.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So that's another area where I've been watching, but trying to catch myself back up as to what's been moving. Because if home building's doing what it's, if that starts to take off, materials should follow, or be participating with it. So one thing that I love to do when you guys just kind of mention a big theme, I love to go into Rangefinder, and I love to do kind of this sort feature. So I actually brought a couple of screenshots because I talk about this often and wanted to actually give people some visuals. So if you have Rangefinder and are a member, there are these search functions that allow you to really zone in or zero in on the specific kind of trade that you want to buy or you want to look at. And so yesterday I was bringing up the materials, and then I sort by the price level. And so I look for trades that are right at that line in the sand that the team has identified as this is our area where we want to be long or we want to be short. And so at the top of the list was one that I've talked about many times, Hudbay. I actually got involved in this finally. I was waiting for the close over 10. And so when you're in rangefinder, you can click on these icons or the ticker and then get the full analysis from the team of why we like Hudbay and, the days to earning and kind of the time frame we're thinking, potential targets. So that's how I like, especially after having been gone for a couple of weeks and just kind of not having my pulse on the market. I go into rangefinder. I use those search functions to kind of look through sectors or to look specifically at lists or the universes that we have in All Star Charts Premium or whatever service. And that's kind of where I zero in, because otherwise it's very overwhelming with all of the trade ideas that we have out there. I can kind of narrow in and zero in on what exactly I want to look at and go from there. And for me, as someone that works and trades, that's been a huge time saver for me. So I wanted to at least illustrate that to our audience for people that have a rangefinder. And if you don't have rangefinder, please give me a call or drop me an email because I want to help hook you up.
How do you get rangefinder? You have an annual membership to AAC Premium, or you
Breakout
have
multiplier.
Breakout multiplier.
Breakout multiplier. Yep.
Everybody with Breakout multiplier has rangefinder. If you want to, like Mary said, if you want to inquire about rangefinder, I'm going to throw Mary's number up on the screen right now. You can also email her as well. Give me a second to do that. But yeah, so anyone with an annual membership to any product or gets rangefinder with that. So
we bought home builders and banks late last week. We sold a double yesterday. We tried to buy more. Most of the people probably didn't get into the trade because of the way that home builders really just ran yesterday. And I have morning meetings, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. Mary's number and email up on the screen right now. I want to do recess just for Mary because she brought some great pictures. So let's do that right now, and then we'll hop out of here.
Steve, you can jump if you need to.
Yeah,
I'm good.
All right.
Okay, so I mentioned that I was on vacation the last couple of weeks. And so one of the stops, the main reason that we went up into the UP was because I've been dying to see the Pictured Rocks National Lake Shore at the very northern part of the Upper Peninsula. And so as part of that, there are trails, there are waterfalls, but the best way to see the rocks are from the water. And so they've got all these boat tours. We actually I found this really slick new operation where this is like 20 miles of lakeshore. And so I'm not paddling 20 miles of lakeshore. It's too much for me. So I found this slick operation where they've retrofitted boats that carry the kayaks for you. So for about half the trip, we were on a speedboat and able to see all, these grand rock formations. And then about halfway, they drop you in the water and launch you from that boat in your kayak. And then we paddled for about 5 miles and got like into caves and through arches and we're touching the rocks. And it was so cool. So if you're ever in Michigan, I mean, this is at the very top. I was waving to Canada when I was in Sault Ste. Marie. Pictured Rocks, highly recommend. This is one of the caves that we went into, and just all these different colors from all different minerals that are in the stone and the dirt and the water runoff and all those kinds of things. So it was just phenomenal. Yeah. And so
where is that? That's Lake Michigan?
That is Superior.
Yeah,
actually.
this is Lake Superior, and this is centuries, millions of years of the erosion and water level changes, and the colors don't make sense. The colors on these rocks do not make sense.
Is that Canada or the United States?
That's Michigan.
This is all Michigan.
It's all Michigan.
Yeah.
Pure Michigan.
Hey Mary, how cold was the water? I bet she was freezing.
My daughter was swimming in it. So considering how north it is and it's Superior, which is super cold and super deep. I mean, I had my feet in it. It was tolerable.
Okay.
She was swimming. Yeah. So It was, and we were up there when it was really, really hot. So we were doing all these trails, and it got it to 90 with the humidity, even in the UP, which is unusual. But we had a great trip. I've got other things that I'll share kind of probably on other recesses because.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, it's called the Pictured Rocks. This is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And if anyone ever gets the chance to do it, I was there a few years back. I highly recommend it. There's no place like it.
And there's no service.
And there's no cell service, exactly. And there's no traffic lights. There's nothing.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no food chains. There's
No.
yeah.
All right.
But it's a good trip.
Here's what we got going on today. Kenny's going live at noon. The long and short of it. Hot Corner Insider members, you'll get your weekly video as well. And then I am doing a special live stream with Sean at 3:00 today. I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now. Sean's going to go over his perfect options process, talk about a few trades he has
Everybody's trading
done.
options. Everybody's trading options these days. People love options. Why not just let's just all trade options, learn about options. I think it's the way to go because they're very powerful tools. I think it's great. I love seeing more and more people just loving options. And so
check out the link. I just dropped it in the chat. That'll be at 3:00 Eastern time today on stockmarkettv.com, not on YouTube. All right. That's what we got. Again, as I said at the top, no show tomorrow, no show Friday. So we will be back with you all Monday morning with one Michael Batnick will be on the show. So,
ooh, can't wait.
Going to be a good one. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Go make some money. All right.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye, guys.
I can't take no loss. I don't even